Mr. D.I.Y is Malaysia's biggest home improvement retailer, and it's famous for its motto, always low prices. It all started back in 2005 with just one store, and now it has grown to 1,429 stores across Malaysia and Brunei, even reaching internationally. They offer a wide range of products in different categories, serving millions of customers every year. The company growth shows how strong their operations and supply chains are and how much they focus on keeping customers happy. Over the years, Mr. DIY has built a solid reputation and become one of the top names in the retail industry, always finding ways to adapt and
Now
improve
I will
with the
explain the
market.
company failures faced by Mr. D.I.Y. Firstly, weak accountability was a key issue. Although the company had a board of directors, the board relied too heavily on information from management with limited independent verification. As a result, operational weaknesses were not detected early and later escalated. Secondly, Mr. D.I.Y. faced a lack of transparency. Governance disclosures focused more on having policies rather than showing how effective they were. There was limited reporting on ethical issues and risk outcomes, which reduced stakeholders' trust during the crisis. Next, ethics and organizational culture were also concerned. The strong focus on low prices and rapid expansion placed pressure on employees and suppliers. Weak monitoring increased the risk of prioritizing costs over product safety and compliance. Lastly, weak compliance and oversight meant internal audits were too general, with little follow-up corrective actions. This left the company unprepared for regulatory scrutiny, leading the reputational damage. In conclusion, these failures show that despite strong growth, weaknesses in governance and oversight exposed Mr. Rawai to
For
serious
this
risks.
section, we want to evaluate Mr. DIY post-crisis risk response by comparing how the group managed risk in 2023 and 2024, focusing on how its strategy evolved as external conditions changed. Starting with 2023, the company was largely in a post-crisis stabilization phase. After prolonged disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and its economic aftermath, Mr. DIY's priority was to restore stability and strengthen internal resilience. To achieve this, the group significantly reinforced its enterprise risk management framework, which formally covered strategic, operational, financial, and compliance risks. This marked a shift away from reactive crisis handling towards embedding risk awareness as part of everyday decision making. During this period, risk reduction was the dominant response strategy. The group diversified its supply chain to reduce dependency risk, enhance internal audit, and function to strengthen governance and integrated sustainability initiatives into core operations. Importantly, sustainability was not treated as a standalone initiative but recognized as a financially material risk with long-term implication. These measures help lower regulatory, operational, and reputational risks while supporting long-term resilience. Financially, though, this approach proved effective. Mr. DIY recorded strong revenue and profit growth, supported by margin improvement and rapid store expansion. The decision to continue aggressive expansion reflected calculated risk-taking, driven by strong demand for essential goods and the company's value-based positioning. Overall, 2023 can be seen as a year where operational risks were actively mitigated, while growth-related risks were selectively accepted. For this section, we want to evaluate Mr. DIY post-crisis risk response by comparing how the group managed risk in 2023 and 2024, focusing on how its strategy evolved as external conditions changed. Starting with 2023, the company was largely in a post-crisis stabilization phase. After prolonged disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and its economic aftermath, Mr. DIY's priority was to restore stability. Moving on with 2024, the company entered a more complex phase. While expansion and revenue growth continued, the operating environment became more challenging due to inflationary pressures, rising labor costs, and more cautious consumer spending. Although revenue remained positive, profit growth slowed, indicating that cost-related risk has begun to erode the benefit of scale. From a risk management perspective, the ERM framework showed increased maturity. Mr. DIY expanded its risk assessment to explicitly include climate and transition risks and began prioritizing risks based on both likelihood and impact. This reflects alignment with evolving corporate governance standards and growing regulatory and stakeholder expectation around climate accountability. However, 2024 also revealed limitation in execution. Delay in the automated warehouse project increased short-term costs and exposed the group to execution risk. At the same time, higher workforce and operational expenses diluted profit growth. These outcomes suggested that while risk identification improved, the translation of risk insight into effective cost control and timing decision was less successful. This highlights a growing tension between strategic ambition and the company's capacity to absorb comparing the
Risk.
2 years, risk avoidance remained minimal. Mr. DIY did not slow expansion or reduce market presence, reflecting confidence in the stability of essential retail demand. This strategy worked well during the recovery phase in 2023 but became less effective in 2024 as continued expansion increased the risk of diminishing returns. In terms of risk reduction, 2023 focused on governance and operational resilience, while 2024 shifted toward automation energy efficiency, and climate integration. Although strategically sound, these initiatives created short-term cost pressures, suggesting that better timing and sequencing of risk mitigation measures may be required. Regarding risk transfer, the group relied mainly on contractual arrangements such as long-term leases and supply agreements. However, large-scale automation investment will largely retain on the balance sheet, increasing risk concentration and exposure to execution challenges. Finally, risk acceptance remained a defining features of the group's strategy. While this approach supported market share growth in 2023, the margin compression seen in 2024 indicates that the company may be approaching its risk tolerance limit. In conclusion, for this part or for this section, Mr. DIY post-crisis risk response demonstrates a clear progression towards a more integrated and sophisticated risk management. The transition from crisis recovery in 2023 to broader strategic and climate risk integration in 2024 reflects adaptability and long-term thinking. However, 2024 results suggest that a gradual strategic recalibration is necessary. Slowing expansion, improving execution and discipline, enhancing risk transfer or capital-intensive project, and strengthening demand-side risk monitoring will be critical to maintaining sustainable growth, profitability, and risk balance in the post-crisis environment.
Next, I will explain the proactive risk responses that Mr. D.I.Y should have taken before the crisis. Proactive means the company plans early to reduce risk instead of reacting after problems happen. These responses are discussed at the corporate level and the strategy level. At the corporate level, Mr. D.I.Y should have strengthened its enterprise risk management early. The company could have tested scenarios such as inflation, supply chain disruption, and rising labor costs. This will help management prepare backup plans before these risks affected the businesses. Next, risk governance should be stronger. Each major risk should be clearly assigned to management, and key risk indicators should be monitored. This allows the board to detect problems early and take action before the situation worsens. Mr. D.I.Y should also transfer some risks to other parties. This includes using insurance, vendors, agreements, and risk sharing with suppliers. By doing this, the company can reduce losses from delay or cost overruns in large projects. At the strategy level, Mr. D.I.Y should adopt a more flexible growth strategy. Store inspection should be done in phases with the option to slow down or pause when the economy is weak. This helps reduce financial pressure while still supporting long-term growth. The company should also focus on improving cost efficiency. This includes increasing productivity, developing private labors, and improving digital operation. This action helps protect profit margin when costs increase. Lastly, climate and sustainability risks should be considered early in strategy planning. This includes energy usage, site selection, and supply chain decisions. By planning early, Mr. D.I.Y can reduce future regulatory risk and protect its risk reputation. In conclusion, proactive risk management helps Mr. D.I.Y prepare for uncertainty before a crisis happens. By strengthening risk planning, governance, and strategy flexibility, the company can achieve a sustainable growth. This approach reduces risk while maintaining long-term business performance. Next, I will explain the proactive risk responses that Mr. D.I.Y should have taken before the crisis. Proactive means the company plans early to reduce risk instead of reacting after problems happen. These responses are discussed at the corporate level and the strategy level. At the corporate level, Mr. D.I.Y should have strengthened its enterprise risk management early. The company could have tested scenarios such as inflation, supply chain disruption, and rising labor costs. This will help management prepare backup plans before these risks affected the
framework show how risks are monitored and controlled in a continuous way. It starts with identifying possible risks, followed by setting key indicators to track performance. Through regular monitoring such as review, progress tracking, and feedback, risks can be detected earlier. So once an issue is identified, control actions like corrective or preventive measures are taken. The process also includes clear reporting to management and stakeholders. So finally, continuous review helps to improve the system and prevent similar risks. Framework, it's explain how the review and reporting process is carried out. So first, relevant data and information are collected and monitored. The data is then reviewed and analyzed to understand performance and identify any issues. Based on the findings, suitable actions or improvements are decided, and also the results are then reported to management and stakeholders. So lastly, feedback and follow-up ensure that actions are implemented and the process keep improving. For this framework, it's explained how the review and reporting process is carried out.
To conclude, although Mr. D.I.Y has achieved strong market leadership and financial growth, this analysis shows that weaknesses in governance, particularly in accountability, transparency, and oversight, expose the company to operational and reputational risks. The post-crisis response in FY 2023 and FY 2024 demonstrate improvement in enterprise risk management, sustainability, focus, and overall risk awareness. However, the company's continued aggressive expansion, combined with rising costs, limited the effectiveness of these measures. The findings also indicate that Mr. D.I.Y relied heavily on risk acceptance and reduction, with less emphasis on risk transfer and strategic restraint. Therefore, to ensure long-term sustainability, Mr. D.I.Y must adopt a more proactive and integrated risk management approach supported by strong governance structures, early risk identification, and continuous monitoring to balance growth, profitability, and resilience. That's all from us. Thank you. To conclude, although Mr. D.I.Y has achieved strong market leadership and financial growth, this analysis shows that weaknesses in governance, particularly in accountability, transparency, and oversight, expose the company to operational and reputational risks.